Hi there. Today I'm going to talk about my STEM story. My name is Savoy, and I've been a programmer, an entrepreneur, and a researcher. Now, I'm a program manager. But we'll get there. Like I said, I'm here to talk to you about how I got into STEM. And if you haven't heard that acronym before, STEM means science, technology, engineering, and math or medicine, depending on who you ask. But back to the question, how did I get into STEM? I think that story starts with telling you how I first got acquainted to science, technology, engineering, and math/medicine, which means going a ways back. I grew up in the United States, in the middle of the country to be specific, right where all the farming happens. My dad's family had been there for a couple generations, but my mom's family actually immigrated there from Spain. They were ranchers though, so it wasn't too different. Anyways, I was born eventually, and it was actually my grandmother who I first remember really introducing me to STEM. She is fascinated about everything related to wildlife and biology. And she would teach me about it in the backyard or whenever we were out in nature together. She loved it so much that eventually she decided to build her own pond so that she could maintain an ecosystem of wildlife with birds and turtles and frogs and fish and everything else all there together. And she had me help her build as much of it as we could together, which gave me some very early lessons in engineering as we learned how to build and plumb a pond. And some chemistry as well, as we had to create an aquatic environment that was clean and suitable for wildlife. And even a bit of physics, as we worked to add a waterfall. Even though this was all hard work, I loved it because it was interesting, and of course because it was time together. Everything I learned would only make me more curious about something even more new. And so I have to say, she was a pretty cool grandma. And that's before I even mention how much she loved games like Minecraft also. Between her and my dad both being into video games, I got exposed to computer science pretty early. It's funny that despite how much I loved all this stuff and how early I got exposed to it, I didn't really understand what it meant to make a career out of it, since otherwise I didn't see much STEM in my community. At least that was the case until I met one great teacher that challenged me, encouraged me, and showed me how I could make a career out of my curiosity. So I decided to go to college after high school to pursue a career in STEM. And the major I chose was physics, because that seemed to include just a bit of everything I was interested in. But I learned quickly that physics wasn't quite the right fit for me. See, I really liked the more active side of STEM, like building things and tinkering with stuff. So what could I do to find the right fit? I did what anyone would do and I Googled it. Okay, not really that Google. It was actually Google, the company itself, that came to my campus to do a talk on career exploration. And it was in part of their talk that they named some things that might be good signs that computer science could be right for you. To name a few of those that jumped out at me, they were things like computer science might be a good fit for you if you speak a few languages. And well, I did grow up in a bilingual family. Remember this part? Or perhaps you find it fun and easy to learn new instruments. And well, I could kind of play a few, not very well, but I definitely did find it fun trying to learn a new one. Or perhaps you like solving puzzles. Well, that I definitely do. Or maybe you're just naturally curious. And I most definitely am. Those were just a few that I remember, but I'm sure there were more out there too. So with that in mind, I decided to give it a shot. I signed up for my first programming class. And by the time we were working in robotics, I realized I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So I got going and eventually got my first internship. An internship is pretty much like a temporary job you can do to try stuff out while you're a student. And my first internship was in cybersecurity. To help make things secure, they hired me and others like me to try and hack into stuff and break it intentionally. It was pretty fun. And then I tried a second internship, which was a chance to work with satellite-guided vehicles. Specifically, we were working with farm vehicles to make them be controlled by satellites. Yeah, like all the way up there satellites. And that was awesome too. I started thinking I was pretty good at this. So good, in fact, maybe, well, just maybe, I could be my own boss and make the big boss dollars. But what would I make? What was I curious about? Well, at the time I was thinking this, new technologies like mixed reality, virtual reality, and augmented reality were first starting to appear in the commercial market in new and interesting ways. And I thought this stuff was awesome, like really awesome. So I told my bosses bye, and I got together with some friends, and we made our own startup called InTouch LLC. Here we made some awesome stuff, like a virtual reality exhibit that went all the way to an expo in Las Vegas, and a mixed reality platform for use with STEM education in schools. This stuff got us noticed. On the news, in magazines, and eventually, I started getting phone calls from companies interested in hiring me. To one of them, I even said yes. Now, I'm a program manager, working at a really big company. And my average day includes all kinds of stuff, from business to engineering, research and design, but especially talking to all kinds of different people who come from all over the world and do all kinds of amazing and cool stuff. You might be wondering, why did I decide to quit being my own boss and work for someone else again? And that's a fair question. While being my own boss was fun and filled with all kinds of learning, this next company gave me an opportunity to do even more good helping others. Because now I get to work on all kinds of cool stuff, like the computers you use at school or at home, some apps, and even some stuff related to video games on occasion. Really, it was a chance to pursue my interests and passions even more and keep making more cool stuff. But like I said earlier, the most important part of the job I have now is creating technology that helps you be amazing. And if you can remember only one thing from my story, remember that STEM is really about helping others. Because when I look back, I realized that this is what excited me about it all along. My advice to you today is 1, encourage others, 2, embrace challenges, and 3, be curious. The future is so exciting. I can't wait to see what you invent. Thanks for listening to me today, and be sure to follow the Nuevo Foundation for more great content.